Hello and welcome back to Mali Investment Talks with me, Joseph Areu, your host. Mali Investment Talks, once again, is here simply to help you make your money work for you passively. I have been discussing with you um, several issues or several topics regarding this topic. In particular, we've been talking about the different goals of investment. We talked about investing for short-term liquidity. We've talked about investing for income, long-term income. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to talk about investing for long-term growth. But before we do that, can I once again remind you, one, to subscribe to these talks so that you can be sure of being notified of all subsequent posts. And number two, very importantly, anytime you need further explanations, something is not clear to you, can I request you to use my contacts at the bottom of your screen to get in touch with me and ask me any question that you might want to pose to me, or indeed ask for any further help in order to invest. So once again, today we are talking about investing for long-term growth. What do we mean by growth in this case? We're talking about growth in the value of your investment asset. So remember, when we're talking about investing for long-term income, the capital of the asset you're investing in may or may not grow. That's not a big concern for you. So for instance, when you invested in bonds, the capital that you invested was not changing. What you wanted, though, what you were interested in was the fact that you were earning an income every so often. Now, what we are interested in is that the value, the capital of your asset should grow. So if you spend so much buying the asset today, suppose it is real estate, you spend so much buying it today, and you sold it, say 10 years later, you want to make sure that when you sell it, you will sell it at a higher value, meaning the capital has grown. So that's what we mean by investing for long-term growth. So it could be growth in your real estate, for example. It could be growth in the value of your shares. We talked a bit about shares. It could be growth in the value of your unit trust account. We talked about unit trust some time back. Okay. So one might ask, what is the best way to achieve growth in growth of your investment asset? Probably the most efficient way of achieving growth passively. Remember, we're talking about passive growth, meaning not active. You're not stressing around, looking for customers, that kind of thing, just passive. The most efficient way of achieving passive growth in your asset is what we call compounding. I did talk briefly about compounding some time back. I need to talk about that again as an efficient way of making sure that the value of your asset grows efficiently and in the long term. So once again, what is compounding? If you may recall, in essence, basically, compounding means reinvesting your profits, reinvesting your gains reinvesting your interest, reinvesting your yield. That is the essence of compounding. So, whereas when you invest for income, you're probably just using or enjoying your income. When you invest for long-term growth, you are encouraged to compound. That means you are encouraged to reinvest your profits, your gains, your interest. So if you're investing in shares, for example, remember we said in shares you earn what we call a dividend. In that case, what you try to do is to reinvest your dividends. You buy more shares using the dividends. That will be a very effective way of growth. If you happen to be investing in bonds and you realize you don't need the money, the coupons, well, how about reinvesting those coupons? In that way, you would be compounding. If you were investing in a fixed deposit in a bank, for instance, then a way to compound would be to reinvest your interest. Same if you are investing in a unit trust. Okay? Now, some of this can be done automatically. So if you invest in a unit trust, remember I told you, your interest is automatically reinvested. So there is automatic compounding. But if you invest in shares, well, there is no automatic compounding. You would have to do the compounding yourself by reinvesting your dividends, but in the same share or buying more shares. If you're investing in real estate, you would have to think of reinvesting your rentals. And by the way, you could reinvest maybe by expanding the property, you could reinvest by maintaining the property, all that aiming at growing the value of your asset up to the time when you sell it. So, compounding is the basic, essential way of growing the value of your asset passively. And to do that, compounding will be driven by two factors. One is the rate of income, the rate of interest, the rate of return, and two is time. So obviously, the higher the rate, the better returns that you will get. But also, the longer you stay invested in that asset, so if it's a unit trust, for example, the longer you stay invested in the unit trust, in other words, without withdrawing your money, then the more it will compound, and therefore the higher it will grow. In our next session, we shall discuss those two factors of compounding in a little more detail. Otherwise, for now, thank you very much.